More U.S. Marines are now on the ground in war-torn Haiti as the Defense Department says it's ready to evacuate American citizens at any time. But there's a much different message coming from the State Department, which says it has no idea how many Americans are trapped in the country and no plans to get them out.
We always plan for all sorts of contingencies, but no, we are not planning for any. We are not actively planning for any evacuations. For 4 years, we have been telling Americans, do not go to Haiti. Do not travel there. It's not safe to do so. And for those who are there, leave as soon as you can feasibly do so without putting yourself at risk.
Robert Charles is a former Assistant Secretary of State for President George W. Bush and a former naval intel officer and joins us now. Robert, good morning to you. There are potentially hundreds of Americans trapped in Haiti right now, and yet the State Department, like you just heard, said no plans to get them out. So what do you think about that? Should there be evacuation orders?
Well, I'll tell you right now, the State Department has got to have contingency planning to help on what we call AMSIT evacuations, whether they're doing that by private contractor, whether they're doing that with the INL Air Wing, which I used to run, about 200 airframes that have the ability to get in and get out, or whether they're just cooperating right now with the United States military. There is, as you said a moment ago, a Marine Fast Team already in there. I guarantee you we have assets in the vicinity that are able to help. But, you know, I'll just step back a couple of steps, Carly, and say there's a lot going on here. This is one more location of instability, which may or may not have been able to be prevented, but it was something that we ought to have been looking out for and seeing coming. In July of 2021, the Prime Minister of Haiti was killed, assassinated by some Colombian assassins, and we've seen this instability rising. So in addition to just warning people to leave, you have to pre-position assets and get ready to help them get out of there. I would hope, again, I'm not on the inside, so I don't know right now, but I would hope that we are in the position to help Americans get out of there, not just tell them in a kind of an after-the-fact way that they should have gotten out earlier.
Yeah, it is certainly a surreal situation. And once again, we're seeing concerns over our embassy there and U.S. citizens trapped in a now war-torn country. I also want to ask you about comments Senator Chuck Schumer made yesterday. He is our highest-ranking Jewish elected leader at a time when Israel is at war, our number one ally in the Middle East. He's calling for new elections there to get rid of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Watch this.
We should not be forced into a position of unequivocally supporting the actions of an Israeli government that include bigots who reject the idea of a Palestinian state.
This is not only highly inappropriate, it's just plain wrong. For an American leader to play such a divisive role in Israeli politics while our closest ally in the region is in an existential battle for its very survival.
To have Senate Majority Leader Schumer attacking the democratically elected leadership of Israel is disgraceful.
If he wanted to focus on elections overseas, maybe he should have called for an election in Gaza instead.
Wow. So you have Chuck Schumer saying that there are bigots inside the Israeli government, and then you heard how Republicans responded to that, and also, maybe even more importantly, how Israel itself is responding. This apparently landed like an earthquake in the country. Benny Gantz, who would likely win an election if one was held today, condemned these remarks from Chuck Schumer. So help us understand the significance of what he said and also how Hamas and Iran would perceive these comments.
Yeah, well, you make a very good point about Iran in particular, understanding that the United States is in some ways shuddering or is not fully supportive of Israel. You know, the reality here is we have federal statutes in this country, Carly, that block or criminalize the idea of foreign interference in one of our elections. And it's ironic to hear the full remarks that I did earlier of Chuck Schumer, who actually says that the reason that he thinks snap elections ought to be called in Israel right now, and he's telling them as a leader in the United States Senate, who obviously has control over weapons that go to Israel, et cetera, is that there's an absence of vision and direction by President Netanyahu. And I find it remarkable. You know, he says that the leader of the country doesn't have vision and direction, so we need an immediate election. I think it's like three levels of irony. First of all, what does that mean? We need some elections, immediate elections here. Second, there is a statute, federal statute 22 USC, I think 2708, that says foreign interference in another country or other countries in our country is illegal. And finally, you're causing a shudder at a time of war with one of our closest allies in the world. So you can advocate for peace, and I advocate for peace, and I certainly don't want to see any more innocents killed. And it breaks my heart to see any child killed anywhere in a war zone. But you have to stand with your allies. And right now, it seems highly inappropriate that Chuck Schumer should be out there on a limb talking about how our allies need to change their leadership.
Yeah, you have to stand with your allies. Robert, well said. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.